Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for coming in early. Look forward to a great class. So today we will be covering a few topics. So some of the topics we'll be covering is, like I mentioned in the assignments yesterday. So we're covering how to use fonts. What are the kind of fonts you can use? What are the kind of effects you can use on fonts? What are the different ways you can make your fonts look better on like an image, or if you wanted to add like make it just convey a message. So like if you have like some kind of important text, how do you make it so that people are seeing that particular text? Yeah. So, but before we start, there was a question on the group yesterday from Laura Perfume Collection about about like background images, about frames. So I'm hoping Laura is online now. But so some of those images you sent, they were not made with frames. So what the designer did there is they removed the background of the image, placed them on the picture, and then used some kind of gradient to make it blend into the page. We'll be doing an example today. I just wanted to explain what they did in those pictures. So we'll be replicating some of the designs you sent because they were really good designs, I think, in replicating, especially for those that joined us for the first time yesterday. If you're able to replicate them, I think people will learn how to make some designs like that because they are business centric designs that could be very, very useful for entrepreneurs, right? So to today's content, we would be looking at typography. So, what is the meaning of typography? What is the importance of picking a font for your business? How do you implement consistency in your font? In your font, how do you combine fonts? What are the kind of effects that you can have in your font? So those are some of the things we're looking at. So to help us, because I saw that the designs that we made in over for the assignments, I feel like some of the small things are really just how do you place things well. I think that's the biggest struggle I saw from the designs because the colors were good already and all of that. So I just want us to cover this topic before we go back into designing things. So hopefully at the end of this topic, will be seeing like more professional looking designs that have like better structure, like better consistency of font and all of that. Okay. All right. So, what is typography? Typography basically is the use of fonts. We all know what fonts are. There are different kinds of fonts. I know when you were writing your project in final year, your lecturer probably told you to use something like Times New Roman size 12. Um, is there anyone here that doesn't know what a font is? You can ask me in the chat. I would explain what a font is. But I imagine everyone knows what a font is. So it's just really like different ways to display text on any kind of digital screen. So all kinds of sorry, Oladehinde. Are you saying you don't know what a font is? Okay, okay, thank you. All right. So we have probably come across different fonts. So we have like if you use like a Samsung phone, Samsung has those funky like text that are slanted sometimes. So all kinds of devices have their fonts. iPhones, when you look at an iPhone, for example, you'll be able to tell like this font is like from an iPhone. It's like so maybe for example, someone shares a screenshot with you of like their contact list. Just by looking at how the fonts are written, you'll be able to recognize that this is something that was taken from an iPhone, for example. Or if you look at something like MTN, all those brands, they all have their different kinds of fonts that they use to make their brands recognizable. So back to the point I used to hit before we went on the break about consistency and visual identity. And that font is another way that you can like bring into your design to like create an identity for your brand. So in addition to using like a color code, you can decide that this is the font for your business. So, and you just stay consistent with that font. Going forward, people will just start noticing like once they come across this font, this is definitely a font that this particular business uses. So these are some examples of fonts that are on Canva. So there's Playfair Display, there's Montessart, which is personally my favorite font. There's this Emusio, there's Open Sans, there's Nunito, there's Lato, there's Railway, there's PT Sans. Now there are different kinds of there are two main kinds of fonts. Now there are different people who have different interpretations about it, maybe like subcategories. But there's something called a serif font and there's something called a sans serif font. So that's serif is SERIF, and sans serif is SANS, then serif SERIF. Now we don't really need to go into what those fonts are because this is not a like UI UX kind of class. But the main important thing to just know is that it's important to just know when you are combining those fonts. Now, if you are using a serif font, for example, and you want to combine it, sometimes you might use two kind of fonts and they just would not like match. So we'll be looking at what are the kind of fonts that you'll be using for your business. I'll show you like I have a sheet here that has like different kinds of businesses and what kind of fonts that it is advisable to use. So those are some of the things we'll be learning today over the course of this training. What all of this class, sorry. So like I said, Montessori is my favorite font, so I'm using it for an example. So I'm going to go into Canva now to just show you that when you pick a font on Canva, it doesn't end there. Like you might you so I think what most people did in the assignment was you just picked the font that was suggested for you and then you used it. So maybe you used it to write your big header and then you wanted to try something different. So you just went picked another one that was suggested for you. I just wanted to let you know. So, like, if you want variation in your fonts, there are different things you can do with. So, you can pick one font, for example, and there's something called font weighting, which is what I'm showing here, where you can make it look different, but it will still stay consistent. So let me open my Canva app now to show you an example of what I mean by font weighting, right? So, 1 second, let me open Canva. Okay, so on Canva now, I have a blank sheet here. I'm just going to put some text on it, for example. So this is okay. Can we see my screen now?
Yes, you can see your screen.
Okay, all right. Okay, so my currently I have like a piece of font here. So to check what font you are using at the moment, font. So once you highlight, you select the text that you want to change the font. You just click on it and then you go to fonts. So font is at the bottom there where everything appears on Canva. So now it shows you currently the font that you're using is Canva Sans. Now you can click on this arrow to the right. If you click on it, it will show you what are the other kinds of fonts. So maybe for example, you already know what kind of font you want to use for your business. You can come here and search. So maybe I hope a font everyone might know is Times New Roman because I imagine you use it for your project. So let's look for Times New Roman. Hopefully Canva has it. Okay, so this is Times New Roman. So once you click on it, sorry, I don't think I clicked on it. So once you click on Times New Roman, it will just load a little bit and then to change your font to Times New Roman. So you might decide that this is the font you want to go with. Let me show you now an example of a serif and a sans serif font. So let me duplicate this. So now you see that in this, there are two fonts here, for example. One of them is a serif font. One of them is a sans serif. Really, I don't want anyone to get bothered about what is a serif font, what is a sans serif font. What is just important to know is that if you are going to zoom in, you would see that at the edges of this T, for example, you see the way it has all of these curves around it, like the way the closing of the T is closed. The H has this like a like it's something that spreads open like that. It's just one type of font. People it's like an older kind of font. But now more modern fonts are just they don't have all of those like curves. They are really minimalistic. So you can either decide to use something like this that has like a it gives you like an older kind of so maybe you're building like a brand and you're trying to communicate to your clients that we are an old brand, we're not any of these new businesses that will just come be here for 2 days and then run away with your money or something. You might use something like this to just convey to your clients that you are like a legacy kind of business. But if you want something more modern, personally, I would advise you to just go with something more modern because it appeals to more people. Like it's something that if you think of most kind of fonts you see around now, they use more minimalistic fonts like this. So always just go with something that is pretty straightforward like this without all of this like bells and whistles, all of these curves. Right. That's just personal advice. You don't have to like live by it. It's just something I prefer doing for my design because it's just following the trend. Like the trend now is to just use more modern text. So I'm going to delete this. I will continue with this. Okay, so what are the ways you can see if you want to see the font height weighting that we saw here? So how do I make my font look a little bit lighter? How do I make it look darker? So those are some of the things. So the modern one is the serif, not sans serif. So what do you mean by the modern one? If I'm a, what do you mean by the modern one? Sorry. Okay, why would it? Okay, the last point I explained. So the modern one is the sans serif, and the older one is the serif. So the old one is serif, the modern one is sans serif. Okay. All right. So to font weighting, I'm just going to show you an example of how to reduce it. So if you click on fonts again, and then it's showing you the fonts that you are using. Let me clear this tiny New Roman that I sent. So typically, the first font. Sorry. Okay, so typically the first font, the font that you selected is going to be the first one that will be on the list, and there'll be a tick on it to show you that this is the one you are currently using. Now to the side a bit, you would see this small arrow that is beside it. You can just click on it. If you click on it, it will show you. So different fonts have like different widths. So this one doesn't have all of those thin, medium, bold. I'll show you an example of one that has it. So you can click on regular. If you click on regular, you see that the font has become a little bit like slimmer. So if you want to use this for example, so you can combine these two. So you can use like regular and medium as the two fonts in your design, for example. I always advise people to keep it like maximum of two or three fonts. I always basically just do two, but if you want to do more than two, please don't go to more than three. If you have more than three fonts, your design starts to look like really busy. Like people, there's something called like consistency of how you are reading things. Like you're reading something, so you expect text to look like this. So if someone is not, if you have to readjust your mental to like the font now looks like this, it's kind of it draws your attention away. So please just keep it to like two or three. So this is an example of regular. We were on medium before. Then there's bold. So if you look at the text that is highlighted, you can see the way it is getting bolder, getting smaller. Now let me change this to a font that has more than three widths, so we can get a sense of what I mean. Which is my favorite font again, Montserrat. Sorry, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Okay, so now Montserrat, for example, has like a lot of different weights. So now there's thin, which is really you can use something like this for like your small text at the bottom of your design, for example. So maybe like your contact list, for example, that is like really not the most important information. You can use something like this. Maybe for your most important information, you can use black, for example, or extra bold or bold. So really, the more like the way it is arranged like this, the lower you go, the darker it is. So it's really just an example of how you can combine like different widths of fonts to achieve like variety in the fonts that you are using, but then still stay consistent. So for example, let me do something like so semi bold. This is my important text, and then I create another text at the bottom that says something like this is the subheader. Okay, so let me reduce the size of this one, and then make it instead of being the same font width, I'm just going to reduce it to like something like 10, for example. Okay, maybe that's too right. So now this is a perfect use of font, for example. Like if you are doing a design and you wanted to like write text on it. So say maybe for example, we can even have like an image on this picture where let me go to formatting. Okay. So please don't worry about all of this format I did. We're going to cover all of that. I just wanted to show you, for example, how you can place something like this. So this is really already like a very, very good layout for fonts. So now this is some of the things I was explaining when we were talking about when we were going through the assignment, how you place your font. So now see for example now the way my let me zoom in. So you see that where the T starts, it starts from the same place where the bold part starts is the same place where the light part starts. So when you're using Canva, for example, you when you are moving things around, you can see this purple line that is showing up here, that is popping up. That line shows you like this is where the last text is. So it is important that you should make sure that this one that you're applying here also does not go past that. That helps you like build like a well formatted design. I'm just going to leave this here. We can say, for example, add an image. Thankfully, I got some feedback, so I've uploaded some new images, so we don't have to use my favorite hand fan anymore. So let me just upload this. 1 second. So these are some designs that I selected that we're going to be using for. Um, we are going to be working with them as designs today. So I'm just going to upload them now. Actually, so now that they are uploaded. Okay, so now I'm really not going for like making a great design here. I just want to no, let me just adjust this. So I have to change the background. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. So Laura, for example, you can see that this design that we have here, adding the image. Okay, I'll come back to that. So you can see now that the design that we have here is it looks similar to some of those things that you sent as examples on the group, right? So what I did here is these images that I uploaded, I have downloaded them before, and then I have removed the background. So now this image of this lady here, let me go to my gallery and show you um, the full picture. So that picture is this. So this is what was. It is what that picture looks like. So now the image is gone. I have gone to remove .bg and I have taken out the background and then I uploaded it to Canva without a background. So that's how I'm able to achieve something like this. Is that clear now? Okay. All right. So for people that are not still clear on, is there anybody that has any like if you are not following what I am doing, please just let me know in group chat. Can't we remove the image on Canva? Okay, so the thing about removing the image on Canva is that you can do it. You can remove the background on Canva, but then it's a paid feature, so it's not free. Like if you have a paid account, I can switch to it and show you what it looks like, but it is not free on Canva. I paid around 2,800 naira per month for Canva for the paid version, but like I had promised in the beginning, all of the tools that we'll be doing in this class are tools that you don't have to pay anything for. So after the class, okay, Johnson. So after this, I'm going to show you how to remove the background again. It's something that we have covered in the previous class, but we are going to be replicating a lot of designs today. So we would be seeing how to do all of these things. So if you don't get the removing the background part, just hold on that. We'll be walking through some of that. After we want to replicate some designs for the class. I just want us to get past the font part. After we get past the font, learning how to use fonts, we'll just keep ahead and just be replicating design, which is what a lot of this training is going to be. Once I get past some of the core like things, tools in Canva, we'll just be coming on to just replicate the design. So that there's something you see that you don't understand, or there's something that is important that I think you need to know how to do, we'll just replicate it. So we'll just spend a lot of time doing a lot of practicals. That's what the class is going to become in like 2 weeks' time. Once we run past some of the concepts, it will just be that fully. So we'll come back to it. Right. So back to my slide. So now we understand how to use font weighting. Hopefully, is there anyone that is not clear on how to use font weighting? Like you don't know how to change the weight of fonts? Just send me a message. Just send a message in chat, and I'll cover it again. Okay. Seems that everyone got that how to do that. So I'm making a note of showing how to do remove the background again. So don't worry about that. We'll come back to it. How to remove background? We'll do that. Okay. So now with fonts, mm, there are different things you can do with fonts. I'm sure you are familiar if you use Microsoft Word or any kind of word processing software, you are probably familiar with all of the things that are here. So I'm going to show you how to do all of this, but I want to explain it with the slide first. So these are the examples of if you click on a text for on Canva and you go to format. In fact, let me just show you how to do that. So say for example, you click on this text. This is my important text. That's what I clicked, and then I went to format here. So format. This is that what I'm showing on the slide is this page. So I just wanted you to know how to get here before I explain how to do some of those things. Okay, I can really just explain how to do them here. So now, for example, this text is already bolded. So this part that says B is to bold your text. So if I unclick it, you will see that the text is no more as bold as it was. If I click it back, it becomes a very bold text. So that's what B does. Now, I here is italics. Italics is basically making your text slant. So now it's not all of the fonts that can do italics, for example. It's not even all of them that can do bold. But if you have a font and then you come here and you see that it has this B and I, and they are not and they have like you're able to select them. Then you can do some of these things on it. So if I click on I, for example, you get an italic font. If I click on U, it will underline the font. So U is underlined. I'm sure everybody is pretty familiar with some of these things because I'm sure you use things like Google Docs or Excel or whatever kind of thing you use. It's the same thing really all over the place. S is to strike through. So maybe you can write a text and you can just strike it through. Okay, let me just quickly run through it. This AA is really, if you want to make everything capital letter, you can just click on it and everything will be capital letter. I'm sure we know how to use justify. So this one moves all of your text to the left. This one keeps it in the middle. This one takes it to the right. So that's something we are probably familiar with. Then last thing is justify text. So it spreads it across the width of the box of the text that you have. So that's what justify is. This one is bullet points. So you just add the bullet point. This one is like a numbered bullet point. So 1, 2, 3, for example. Right. So we are pretty clear on this. Is there anybody that needs me to go through it again? Okay, I'm going to assume everyone understands what that is. Let me just look at chat to be sure I am not leaving anyone behind. Okay, all right. So those are some of the tools. Those are some of the like options you have with text. So if you want to change how your text looks, you can. How can we make the text go behind the lady? Okay, Olahinde. So we covered something called position and layering in the last class. So I imagine today is probably your second class or first class, right? So we have covered something like that, but I'm going to quickly show you how to make the text go behind the lady. So now, for example, let me stretch the text so it is in front of the lady now. So in Canva, there's something called layering and positioning. So if you click on the text, you can just go to the bottom here and go to layers. Now, if you click on layers, you will see every single. Now, what is an element? An element is every single thing on the page. So the lady herself is an element. This black text is another element. The white text is another element. So every single thing on the page is an element. So now you see all of your elements at the bottom here. So you see the way it is arranged. The pink background is the lowest element here. The next one is the lady. Now the next one here is the black one. The next one here is the white text. So now basically just looking at this, you already know that they are stacked on top of each other. That is why they are like this. So now why is the text in front of the lady? Because the black text is above the lady. So if you just want to make it go behind her, what you just have to do is drag the lady above the text or the text behind the lady. And just like that, you have the text behind the lady. Is that clear? Okay, I imagine that is probably clear. All right, thank you. So back to what we were learning. Okay, now so another thing we wanted to cover is font effects. Now, what are font effects? Sorry, is my screen still showing?
Currently, God will know. I can't see screen.
Okay, okay, sorry. I think I might have. Let me just share my screen again. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so it's coming up. In the meantime, does anyone have a question around what we've done so far? Okay, no question. So let's go back to font effects. All right. So what are font effects? So font effects are really like options you have to like improve the way your text is shown. How can you? My question is, how can you use like how can you import a font? Right. So I imagine that you are probably like a designer. So maybe you use Figma for example, or maybe you write CSS. So maybe you use Google Fonts for example, which is why you're asking how to import fonts. So on Canva, I don't think you can import fonts on the free version, right? On the free version, you might not be able to import fonts. I would confirm that. Don't hold me to that. I'll confirm that and then I'll confirm, I would, on the group chat, I would let you know if you can import fonts. I haven't done that before. I think it's something I have seen where you have to pay to be able to import fonts, but I'll check that and I'll confirm it to you. So let's continue with font effects. So font effects now, for example, if you have been designing if you've been using Canva for a little bit, one of the challenges you would face is that, say for example, you have like a background. So maybe you have an image as the lowest layer. That is the first thing on your page, and then you put like a rectangle to like add color to it, and then you added a text on top of it, which is something we have done a lot of times in this class, right? Let me let me demonstrate what I mean. Okay. Um, so say for example we have something like this. This is my plate and my hand fan has really suffered. Right. So we have an element. So I'm going to put a rectangle on it. So please, for the people new in the class, if you don't get what how I'm doing some of the things that I am doing, you can just call my attention to it at any time. I'm happy to go back and show you any stage. I'm just doing it because I imagine people that have been in the class going like for the past like 3 weeks know how to do some of these things. But if you're not following, if today is your second class or today is your first class, just call my attention. I'm happy to go back to it. Okay, so now let's say you have, for example, you have something like this. You sell food, for example, and you want to write some text to it. So let me just add some text. So something that says my food. So let's say Amala Spot, for example. Right. The the greatest Amala. Okay, so you have something like this. Let me change the color to illustrate the point that I am making. Okay. So now we have this, for example, let me use something like yellow to like help us see what I am doing. So you have this Amala spot, the text is in yellow. So maybe your business, your brand color is yellow, for example, and you want to use yellow. Now you can see that this text is not quite coming out well. It's not quite sharp. Now the options to use different colors, but then we're trying to stick to our brand color, which is yellow. So this is where effects come in. So now there are some effects that you can apply on this text, and then they will make the text appear better. Even if you have like a background that is contrast, like that is struggling with your text, for example. you can apply an effect and then just make this better. So let me just go back to the kinds of effects that you can use. So there's something called a lift. Oops, sorry. I think I have gone off the call again. Pardon me. Let me share again so we can see what how to use lift fonts. Again, if it's your first time, you're not following, please just send me a message. For us, it's important that everyone really knows how to do some of these things. So please don't feel like you're disturbing, you're dragging the class back. Luckily, we have a very, very patient group of people in the class. So please just send me a message at any time. I'm happy to go over anything that you don't understand. Okay, so can you see my screen? Hello, can we see my screen?
Your screen is not displaying nothing.
It's not displaying. Sorry. Why does that keep happening? Bear with me. I'm sharing again. Can you see now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Let me- Okay, all right. So we have an effect called the lift effect. Now, what can you do with the lift effect? It is useful for adding depth or emphasizing a text or phrase, and it is great for contrasting with a busy or flat background. So now we have ourselves in a situation where we have a busy background and we are trying to contrast our text, which is the situation here. Sophia Ochuku, I saw your comment that you did not really understand the class yesterday. Okay, all right. So the video for yesterday's class will be up later today, so you can go over it. I'll try and cover some of the concepts that we covered yesterday again, so we can see if we can help improve your understanding. Okay. So now, what can we do to this font? So all we just have to do is you click on the font again with Canva. If there's anything you want to do to any kind of element at all, click on that element and look at the bottom. You see the options that are available. So once you click on it, you go to Effects. Now you see that on this effect, there are different like different effects you see. So currently it is on none. So now if you added this, the lift effect is what we have covered. So if you click on lift, you would see that the text suddenly now looks a little bit more visible. Is it just me? Just let me know yes or no. Like does the text look a little bit more visible to you? So this is it without any effect. This is it with an effect. Can you see the difference? Chat. Okay, all right. So this is a way to say, for example, you're designing something. I would just really advise you, you can just always make sure that any kind of image, any kind of text that is on top of an image, just use the lift effect. It doesn't hurt your design at all. It just makes it look a little bit more visible. So this is some of the things where in the assignment, if we had covered the lift effect, can you repeat the lift effect? Okay. Let me undo this. Okay, so now this is where I was. So Chinaza, do you understand how we got here to this point without with the image and then the rectangle and then we have the text on top? Okay, so you understand how to do that. So to add a lift effect on your text, you just select the text. So you select by select, I mean just click on tap on it one time. So now that it is highlighted, at the bottom here you just slide and then you click on effects. So I'm pressing down effects now so you see what I clicked on. If you see what is highlighted at the bottom there, that's effects. So once you click on it, it will bring up some of these effects here. So now there are different types of effects that you can use. So now the one that I was showing for this example was the lift effect. So you click on lift, it would add like a black kind of maybe halo. I mean, how do I describe it? Like a black kind of background to the text that just makes it like stand out more. Now, if you click on, if you see that there's a settings option on top of that lift, like something like a setting. So you can click on it and then you can increase it or decrease it. So you can currently the intensity is at 50%. You can drag it to 100%. Now you see that it is even more clearer now that it is 100%. If I take it back to zero, it's just like saying there's no lift on it. So you just adjust it based on the demands of your design. Exactly. So it looks like a shadow. It's in CSS, for example, it's box shadow. If you don't know what I mean by CSS or box shadow, just ignore that. But for people that do like graphic design, web design, or you would know what like a box shadow is, for example. So it's like a shadow behind the text. Thank you for that's the perfect way to describe it. Like a shadow behind the text that just makes it stand out from the background. So that's the lift effect. There are really other kinds of effects. Um, there's the so now this image here, I wanted to illustrate how lift effect can really like improve the visibility of your text. Now this design here, all I did was I used the white text on a white background, and then I added a lift effect. And even though it's not very clear, you can still read what is there. Now, this is that same picture, and I promise you that that text is here without the lift effect. So just to help you see that if you at any time you have something on, you have a text on an image on a graphic, and you just want to make it a little bit more visible, you can always just apply lift effect. So this is a design without lift effect, and this is one with lift effect. So I'm hoping everyone understands what lift effect can do for you now. For example, another one is the holo effect. Now, this is a really very like it's a very very fun effect that you can apply on some fonts to like make it have. So instead of it being solid the way normal texts are, it is hollow. Like in the middle, there is nothing there. So let me show you an example of hollow effect here. So these are our spot thing, for example. Again, if you go to effects now, I'm going to remove the lift effect. Okay, I mean actually I should just leave it in. So you can select more than one effect again. So you click on hollow effect here. It takes off that it will remove the okay, you can only do one. So you can only do one effect on Canva, which is a limitation. But you can click on hollow effect, for example, and then it will just take out it will just make it like a it just make it the text hollow basically, and then you might decide that this is what you want to do. Now, this particular design, this is not a good use of hollow effect with the background that we have. Hollow effect is best used with like no background. So, actually, let me just duplicate this so I can reuse it if I want to. So you should probably not use hollow effect on an image, something like this with like a very busy background because it doesn't do well with it. So if you have something like this, for example, now you see the way it is clear on it. Is there intensity increase or decrease on hollow effect? Actually, let's find out if you can increase the intensity on hollow effect. So this okay, so what you can do is increase the thickness. So now it is very, very light. So if I make it, it's really like this is just as an example of something like the font weight that we have. So the thickness is if I reduce the thickness, you will see that it is still there, but the lines are slimmer. So you can make it more thick by dragging it. So now I've dragged it to the full 100%, and then you can see now that it has like it's more visible. So you can just depending on what you want to achieve, that's how you can use the hollow effect. So let's go back. The other one is the glitch effect. Now, let me show you what the glitch effect is. So now in this design, we have one color, which is this purple color that we have here. But then if you look at it closely, you will see that there's something like a pink and a blue design that is around it. So now that is what you call the glitch effect. Now that's what is the hollow effect best used for? I didn't catch that part. Okay, so the hollow effect, let's go back. And please, at any time, if you want to see my slides, I can send the slides on the group if the class wants that. So the follow effect is great for like fancy announcements or call to actions. So like if you have like a big announcement on your page, so like just say for example this design that we have here, you see the way the hollow effect is dragging your attention, like without even trying to focus on it, you would see that the first wow, sorry, I have been disconnected again. So someone is saying it is good for launching. Yes, so it is good for making announcements basically. So if you see in some of those designs that were sent on the group chat yesterday by Laura, there's a particular one with blue, something that says design you need. Now that is the assignment for today. To I'm going to ask everyone to replicate this design. I'm going to send it on the WhatsApp group so that everyone is going to replicate that design. So just go I'm going to resend it, but I want everyone to be able to think of how do I achieve it? Like how do I get this design, some what they did there, just based on using the hollow effect and then your idea of your understanding of using layering to achieve something like that. So I'm already giving you like ahead of the assignment. That is what everybody's going to be doing. I'm going to give you hints on how to do it, but I just want you to think about how do I achieve this effect, right? Okay, so back to the hollow effect. So it is good for contrasting with a busy background, for example. If you want to now that example that we saw, the because the color is too light, it wasn't a great use there. But you can use it in other kind of like if there's an image, for example, and the image is very dark. You need something that is very dark behind it so you can see the difference. So it's also good for highlighting the word or phrase. So if there's something that you want to call out, so maybe like you have like a big like discount, so like 5% bonus, for example, you can use the hollow effect to do that. It's also good for overlaying text on image, which will come to in the assignment. Now, the glitch effect, like I was talking about, is really it just adds like it adds like a it just adds like like a different color to the edges of your text, like to the borders of your text. It just gives it like it's really just fanciful the way it looks. So it just like it's really like modern design. It just gives it like this futuristic feel, makes the color like just look like it stands out. And I have an example here. I don't know if anyone remembers this design that we looked at in class, where we had something like this. So if you zoom in here, you will see that the glitch effect was used on this design. I'm going to open Canvas so we can see it. So this is a very, very good example of how to use the glitch effect on something fancy like this. So if you see now, the color of this of the pink and the blue color, it matches with basically it matches with the whole design, it matches with the logo, matches with these colors of the moon. Um, and that's really how it's a way to just really it's just a way it's another effect for lifting your design, but it's really one that you will just use for like making things fancy. So now let me open Canva so we can see how to use the glitch effect. Okay, um so to use the glitch effect, all you have to do is come to effects again and then go to glitch. Now, if you already see on glitch, you would see that it already has that purple and like blue thing around it. So you click on it. Let me change this background to white. So now, if you zoom in, you see that it has the glitch effect applied to it. So now, what else can you do with it? Let's see the options for. Let me just check to see that I don't have any missing messages. Okay, so now you can increase the offset. The offset is like how far away it is from the text. So let me zoom in more so you can see what it does. So as you slide it, you see that it is more visible and it is moving away from the text, which is making it more visible or less visible. The direction is what direction is it coming from? So as you move the direction, you see that it is going around the page. So you can just decide where you want it. So now, if you do something like, so maybe you sell, maybe like clothing, for example. So maybe like you sell like colorful t-shirts, maybe you sell like candy or something that is colorful. You can use like this glitch effect to just get like an effect, like the good effect that matches with something like that. Also, the color you can change the color here. So there are two options. There's these two options there. You can't change it to any color you want, but you can pick from these two anyone that matches what you are doing. So now this is like an example of how the glitch effect looks like on a text. So let's go back and cover other effects so we can have time to. Why does this keep happening? Sorry. I think I've been disconnected again. Okay. Does anyone have any question at this point? Questions? If there's something you don't understand, or maybe you don't understand how I'm doing all of these effects. It's looking like magic. Please call my attention. All right, nothing. Okay, and then the last I think that's the last one that we're covering. Okay, the last one we're covering in effects is the neon effect. So now this neon effect is basically like the glitch effect. Can the colors of the glitch effect be changed? So Chinas, you can only select two colors. There are two options there. You cannot change it to any color that you want. There are two options that it gives you. So if you click on the text and go to effects, then click on glitch. At the bottom there, you see two options, right? Okay. So the neon effect, it really just adds like it's like all those let me see. Let me go to Google and see like open signs. So it will just help you get a sense of what the neon effect looks like. So this is where I downloaded my images. All right. So this is what the neon effect does. I'm sure we all know what neon lights are. So something like this is what it looks like, where like it's like something that has like lighting behind it, like an LED light. So that's something you can achieve with Canva. So for example, this is so the way it is used here. So like if you want to announce like you have like 50% discount happening. So now this neon effect is best used with like an animation. And I know we have not covered animations in Canva, but we would be covering it later. But I'm just going to show you an example of how you can like combine a neon effect with the glitch, sorry, with the animation to like just make it like stand out. So let me open Canva now so we can try that out. I apologize for my screen keeping like it keeps going off for some reason. Okay. Um so effects. So that's the neon one. So now we see that it has, let me change the color so it's a little bit more visible. Okay, so we see down that it has like it has that neon effect similar to what we just looked at in my browser. So let's go into it and see what are the things we can do here. So now the intensity. So if you increase the intensity, it has like it's the colors go a little bit more to the background. If you reduce the intensity, it reduces it. So basically, those are the options you can do. So there's a question on the group that says, does it mean that these different effects on the text has their function and can it be used anyhow? Okay, so it depends on what you are trying to design, right? Let me show you an example of so this neon effect, for example. I want to show you a design that used it very well. Where's my slide? So this is an example of a a design that uses the neon effect. So you see this music first, it's using the neon one. So if you're designing something like this, it really just depends on all of these things. You don't have to use all of them in every design you are designing everything you're designing. It's just really like you have the option to do it. So like if you are designing something and maybe you just want that particular color to stand out, you can like just go to effect and then just apply it. So it's really just it's the important thing is to just I just want us to know how we can at any point, first of all, like getting you to know that these things exist, like there are options that are available to you in Canva, and then getting you to know how to use them. So it's not that every design you are designing you must use, and you don't even have to use any of them. If, honestly, I barely use the only one I use mostly is just the lift effect. So like just raise the text, but depends on how the direction of the design that you are going for. It depends. You can want to do something like this, for example. So like if you're designing like a graphic for like a music festival, for example, it is a very very good design. So I just want you to know that it exists, but you don't have to use it every time, right? Okay. Okay, so this is the font suggestion for different businesses. So we looked at the different kinds of fonts on Canva. I'm going to screenshot this page and send it to the group. So if, for example, your business is like a fashion business or like a beauty business, so in some of the assignments, I saw some people that sell like hair extensions, or maybe you sell clothing for like females, basically any kind of thing related to like fashion or beauty. It's advised, it's not by force. You don't have to, you can do whatever appeals to you, but industry standard, they just advise you to use something like a Playfair Display, Great Vibes, Pacifico, Alex Brush. So these fonts are, again, let me just show you again how to get to fonts. To get to any font, you just tap on it and click on font. So once you click on font, you can, let's see what are the examples that we're doing here. So fashion and beauty, for example, we want to use something like Pacifico, right? I'm just choosing any random one. So all you just have to do is come here, type Pacifico, right? So this is it here. And it's actually a very, very good font. Let me remove this effect so we see what it looks like. So this is, so if you are doing something like fashion or beauty related, I think this is a very, very good font for that. It looks like very modern, it looks funky, it looks fashionable. Okay. So now that we know how to look at how to change fonts on any design, so this is, you can just look. Hopefully, the kind of business that you're doing is here, and you can decide to go with any of these fonts when you're selecting the font that is for your business. But what is important today is that I just want everyone to decide that these are the fonts. These are like maybe the one or two fonts that I'm going to be using for any kind of design that's related to my business. I'm going to say, okay, from today, I am using Playfair Display. In every design that I am doing, the first thing that I'm going to do is change my font to Playfair Display. And it might not look like a lot like at the beginning when you start designing. But like going forward, when you start looking back at your Instagram page, for example, and then you go back and you see the kind of consistency. So now you've learned how to be consistent with your color. You've learned how to be consistent with your font now. So now you are beginning to like build like the branding elements that is going to make you stand out, right? So just make sure that you stay consistent with the font that you use. Again, I advise you don't do more than two, maybe three. But personally, what I always do is I pick a font and then I use the font width or the font thickness to like change it and then just use it in different parts of the page. Right. Now, the other thing I wanted to cover is margins and paddings. Now, in the assignments that we saw yesterday, one thing that I thought could be improved on was how we were using margins in our designs. So now some of the text were, let me just go back and open some of those designs. Hopefully I can find them. Okay, so just 1 second so I can open the assignments that were submitted yesterday so we can see. Okay, so now this is, let me just see something that we can learn from. Okay, um, yeah, this is perfect. So now I'm not trying to like critique anybody's design. This is just to show the class an example. So now you see the way this text is, like the way it is very, very close to the edge of this thing. So like this is really something you should try as much as possible to avoid when you are designing. Like making your text be too close to the, like any kind of elements that is the background, or maybe it could even be the end of the page. So like just always try to avoid it. It's called, if you do, if you are designing, just always make sure that as much as possible. Now this is a good example here. The way it is spaced away from the edge of the page. This is well done here. Now this part is another part where they could have brought this text that says last week Sherry, they could have brought it down so it is not very, very close to this upper text. It kind of, what this does is that it just makes your design look like, it just makes it look like a little bit disorganized and like packed up. All of it, everything is like bunched up together, and it's not just this design. It's something that you can see in some of the other designs. Also, this is a great example again. Now, if you see in this text, where the Christmas sales starts, the way it is, the way, so that Christmas sale starts on one line, and then the December 21st shifts like away from where that line is. So please always try to keep it consistent. Canva is trying to help you. When you're using Canva, you would notice that. Let me show you that. So these are two texts on a page, for example. If you move the first one, like, so this is the line. In fact, when you are moving your text around, Canva is suggesting a margin for you. Now, what this purple line around it is suggesting like keep everything within this line, because if you are printing any of these designs, for example, normally most printing machines would cut out all of these parts. This space that is here is it's called like a printing. It's like a printing margin. You just leave that space for printers because a printer might you might print something and then you just see that all of those parts are cut out. But even if you're not printing and you're posting it on anywhere, it just helps your design look better if you like leave that space around it, right? So now, when you're moving text around, you notice that there are some lines appearing and disappearing in your Canva design. So now, for example, you see this one in the middle here. It is showing you that this text is well centered. So now you're currently at the bottom. So how to do it is just hold the text down. Sorry, just click on the text and move it around. If you are in the middle of the page and then you see that line that goes from the top to the bottom, it lets you know that your text is centered, it's well centered. So you can just leave it there, and now you move this one. So if you are trying to get centering for this other one too, as you are moving it to, you would see that you are getting that same effect. So that line there is going to show up. So now if you leave these two things together here, even if this one is smaller, for example, let me make it smaller. So maybe let's say this is a sub header, for example, and you made it smaller. You can still move it anywhere, and then you are sure that this text is still at the center. So again, if you are moving text to the edge of the page, for example, so let's say we go over the margins and then we are somewhere here, and you want this one too to like sit at the edge of the at this like the same line to follow that same line. Once you are moving things around, you will see these lines that are here now. What Canva is telling you is that that is where the edge of this design is too. So you should leave your design there. Don't let it pass there because this is where the last pin close to the edge of the page is, right? So those are some of the things where in using margins and pattern. Let me go back to this slide. Is anyone lost? I feel like I might have lost a few people with some of these more core concepts. Is there anything you are struggling with what I'm describing? Just let me know in chat. Okay, so margin best practices. So basically, how do you what are the best things to do when you're using margins? Okay, so someone is saying they're with me, no question. Thank you. That's good feedback. Does it mean that those different effects on the text have their function and can be used? Okay, no, no, no. Okay, okay. All right, so those are old messages. Okay, thank you for letting me know that we are together. All right, so with margins, so these are some of the best practices, like just based on in my years of using Canva, what are some of the things you should do? So unless you absolutely have to go outside, keep all of your text within your margin. So now the margin is what I have demonstrated, that box that shows. So there's some cases you just have to go outside of it. So maybe you have like a lot of text or you have like a big text. You should just try as much as possible to keep it. Or maybe you have an image to the side that is not allowing you keep it within it. It's very fine to go outside of it, but only do it unless you absolutely have to. Also, try to make the margin equal on all four sides. So now the way this picture is, for example, like with the margin, you can see that all of the four sides of this design have like equal margin. So always try to do that where it just makes now this picture that we're looking at, for example, it doesn't have any picture, but there's this sense of like arrangements that you can see with it where all of the margins are the same size, the box is just in the middle. All of those things just make your design. That's the difference between some of the professional designs you are seeing, like the examples that Laura sent yesterday, and some of the designs that you're trying to do. These are some of the you already know how to do the most important things, but now where the difference is some of these small things where how do you keep everything like arranged well, and we'll be learning all of those things very well once we start all of the practicals. So the second thing is try to make your margin equal on four sides. So Canva has a grid and a snap feature that helps you with centering and aligning your elements. So we have seen it. So now those lines that we're showing, that is what I mean by the grid and the snap feature. The name is not important. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is that while you are moving things around on a page, Canva is trying to help you center it, trying to help you align it to whether left or right or center. So please just pay attention to all of those lines are really important suggestions. It won't force you to take them, but you can just it's really if you follow some of those things that it's suggesting to you, it's a very very easy way to have like really aligned, well aligned sections in your page. So the last thing is do not put your text too close to the margin to make your design look too busy. So that was what we saw in that design where the text was too close to to the other text. Or if it's for if you're using a margin, for example, like just try as much as possible to space things away from your margin. So now if you see in this design, all of the text there's still space like around the before the box. Everything that is inside the box, there's a space between the text and the box, for example. So just keep things that way and try and space them away from where your margin is. So now there's a setting in Canva that can allow you see like it will just put your margin on your page. So how to do that is on Canva, any page that you are on, just click on settings. If you click on settings, you can open it and click on show margin. And once you click on show margin, it would show you the margin of your page. Now let me show you how to do that on Canva. So now this is a design that we have here. So setting is you can click on these three dots at the top here. So I'm currently clicking on it so it's highlighted. So those three dots there, you can click it and then you will see settings here. So once you click on settings, you see show margin. So like that, once I've clicked it, now if you zoom in, you will see the margin of your page. So now you can just decide that okay, everything I'm doing is going to stay within the margin of this page. So you don't it just helps you like it gives you a visual guide. So instead of having to like do guesswork around where is my margin or is my margin equal, so you can just leave this here and just make sure. So you put something like this, for example, like your the box of your text, you just put it, layer it on top of it like this, and you're just sure that at any point in time you are within the margin. And the good thing about this margin is that it doesn't download. Like if you download an image, it won't show up in the design. At any time, if you don't want to use it anymore, it's the same thing. You just have to do go again to settings, and then click on it, and then click on this show margin. You just unclick it, and then it won't be there. But by that time, you've probably done all of your designs. So that's one way to use that margin option that Canva provides. So now this is what it will look like, and we have seen that on Canva, right? So now the Canva, okay, one other thing I wanted us to cover is the smart guide feature, but we're really close to time. I wanted to spend 30 minutes just replicating some designs. So let me see. Okay, so I think this is last thing. So in Canva, when you are moving, so you have like more than one element on the page. Let me just duplicate this a couple of times. Okay, and let me zoom in. Let me delete this and have things that are different, same size. Okay, so now at this point, you would see that there's something showing that is 131. Can we see it? Please just let me know if you can see this 131 that is showing. Okay, all right. No, now what that means is the space between your two elements. So again, continuing with the theme of learning how to keep things like arranged properly, it is the spacing between your two elements. So now this 131 is like a measurement. Hopefully if you're a tailor or something, or if you've used, I'm sure a lot of us have used the ruler. So if you just, it's like just think of it like using a ruler to measure what is the space between the element at the top and the space between the element at the bottom. So if you're moving things around, so maybe for example you're trying to put this thing in the center and then you are struggling with it, all you just have to do is just calm down and just keep going down. It will snap into place. That's what something camera does for you. It just show you that there's 131 pixels. Pixel is the unit of measurement for designs. There are different units, but it's just an example. So there's 100, so let's say centimeter, for example. There's the 131 centimeter between the text up and the text down. So that way you know that you are in the middle. So you don't have to do any of the mathematics to get where the center is. And even if you zoom out, you can tell with your eyes that this thing is between the two texts. So that's the snap, and that is the smart guide feature. That's something that Canva does. So now the last thing is reduce.image. That's the graphic design tool of the week. It's another kind of tool for you to use to, like, if you want to upload an image, for example, on maybe an e-commerce site, and then it's telling you that this image. So maybe you download something and the picture you used is like maybe like 20 MB, for example, and after you design everything finished, the size of the design came to like 22 MB or something, and then the website is telling you that you cannot upload more than 10 MB. You can just come here, upload it, upload the picture. So you just download it from Canva, for example, upload it on reduceimages.com and just download it again. Now this is something I have shown in the class for as the example before. So maybe I'm just going to skip to that so we can cover like a little bit of replicating designs. But if you go to no, it does not reduce the quality of the design. It keeps it the same. So it will maintain the quality and then just give you like a smaller sized image. So that's the good thing about reduceimages.com. So you can just check it out. It's pretty straightforward. Just upload and download. Um, so now I wanted us to do something. So I want us to like replicate some of the designs that were uploaded. I just want us to how we can put um pictures of more than one person because I see that some of the designs that we have like pictures of more than like a couple of people, and then it might be a struggle to like how do we use it. So now to people that just joined, I talked about said I was going to show us how to use remove.background. So let me just quickly do that. So now remove.background is a website where you can go and remove the background of an image. So let me go. So the URL is remove remove.bg. BG, not BD. So now once you go there, so now it says what it does. All you just do, all this website does it just takes off the like background from an image. Now, why is this important? For example, you want to design something, and let me just do a quick just to show you why it is important. And you have something you want to upload an image of a lady on this thing. Let me upload one with a background. So please, if you're ready, for the people that have been in the class earlier, I know this is just a repetition of what you already know. So please just bear with us. Let's spend like a few minutes, and I'm sure that you would learn a couple of things from it too. So I just want to show people that are joining for the first time how to use this tool for designing. So now, for example, this is this picture of this lady that has the background. So now I'm uploading it on Canva. So this is how you upload an image on Canva. You just go to upload files and then you click on it. So I want to add this lady's picture, for example. Now you see that there's a problem here already. Now, all I want is the picture of this lady, but then her background is affecting what I am doing. Now, if I go to remove the background and I click on upload image and I selected the image of that lady, so this is the same person, if I can find it. So this is it here. So what it does is once you upload, it does all of the work for you without stressing it. So you see, now the background has gone off, and all you just have to do is download it. So once you click on download, you save the image to your device, and then you can come on Canva. Now let me replicate this so we can see the difference between that and this. So I'm going to delete this. Sorry. So I'm going to upload that same image now without the background, the one that we downloaded now. So this is it here. We have downloaded it, and I can just click on it, and then now I have a picture of that lady without the background. So now if you look at some of the designs that you've been seeing everywhere, it's really this is something that most designs have. So you might take a picture, it could be any kind of picture that you just put in, and then you just once you take away the background, it just makes using that image very, very simple. Now so you compare this versus this, you can tell which one of them is very easy to work. How did you replicate it? Okay, so to replicate a design, all you just have to do is slide in. You just slide in. So you you just slide in, like you use your two fingers and slide inside. Thank you, Ola Hindi. So you can write that the second one is better. So this is what I do. The movement for replicating the design is sliding inside. So you just slide in, and then to show you all of the designs on your page. Now, once you are there, all you have to do, you see duplicate at the bottom, and then you just click on duplicate and you get another copy. So now these are all of the designs that we have been working on today. All right. So back to it. In fact, we can even just continue with this. So this is one lady. We can upload a couple of them. So we can even make this one like really big. We can do another one. Let me just go with the ones that I've uploaded. Since we already know how to remove background, we know how to. So this is another one. How long do I have? Okay, so I still have a little bit of time. Sorry, I'm trying to upload. So this is another one. One more. Okay, so this is one more. Now I'm using this example because I saw a lot of pictures where I saw a picture of someone that was selling like hair extensions. So pardon us for. I'm just trying to go with. I'm trying to like use examples of businesses that people are doing, so you can kind of see how helpful it is. Now this is an example of how we can see if we want to. I think this is too dark. So let me just reduce the color of this. You can actually even just make it a gradient. And this is actually nice. Okay, so we have something like this, for example. Um, we can add like a. So now you see that the bottom is just the women are just floating. Now I could have taken them to the edge of the page, like to do. I could have done this. So where that way we have covered all of the edges. But another way we can do that is we can just go here and add something like a. We can use a. We can use something like this. So you just turn it. So this is you just search for gradient on elements. So once you get that, you can just actually do something like this. Let me see if I have messages. Elements. Okay, this is actually too light. I wanted something darker. So let me just do the normal gradients we know how to do. So we stretch this here. Okay, actually, something that could be better here is instead of trying to do this, you can just go to elements and search for like something like a cloud. So let's just search for cloud. I'm just trying to show you my personal process of designing things. So you search for like a cloud or something. So cloud doesn't, I don't see anything that fits what I want. Let me search for mist. What I'm trying to achieve here is something that helps me cover the bottom of that page. The second one is better. Okay, sorry. Sorry, Ngozi, what do you want me to come again with? Akunle and Ngozi, please let me know what you want me to repeat at this point. Okay. I haven't. Okay, I think you see what you're doing now. Okay, all right. So back to elements. I'm trying to find something that helps me cover that the bottom there. So I'm just trying any kind of thing here. Now this one is kind of good, but it's too big. Okay, so let me find a. So really, just at sometimes you just have to try and see what the element looks good. What did you search? So what I searched for was I'm looking for something that helped me cover that bottom. Now something that we could have done here is um, instead of having it hanging here. So what I'm trying to achieve is I don't like the way the women are floating here. So I want something that will just help me put I can put like a small box there and cover it. So those are some of the ways you can disguise some of the things. But another way you can just easily have done this is just bring everything down. So now they are all at the bottom, and then we can just drag this one down a little bit. So this looks like an example of designs you would see. So maybe, for example, you sell like hair extensions. This is really good. One thing I can do now is I can go on these images. We learned about effects yesterday. So I don't like the way the book is on it. Sorry, I don't know what you mean by a book. But so now to some of the effects that we learned yesterday, we can go to click on any of the images and go to like outline. So if you click on outline, you can change the color to something like white. So you see now you can do it on each of all of the images, and you have like an outline for all of them to like just help you differentiate the where they all are. So we covered how about we use a rectangular shape instead of cover that has its own part. Use a rectangular shape instead of a cover. That's down part. So we can use anything there. We can use a rectangular shape there. Anything that works for you. It's really just what I was trying to do is I just want something that is look like a gradient that will just blend because we already have a gradient at the back. How did you get the image extended downwards? So all I did was let me undo what I did. I'm trying to undo what I did. Okay. So with this, you just hold on. Let me undo everything I did, so we get back to where we were. All right. So this is where we were, right? Is everyone with me now? So I'm trying to answer two questions that people ask. So the first one is how did I get the ladies to get to the bottom of the page, and the second thing is how do I get that line around the lady? So what I did is I just very sure also how to cover the down part of the gradient. Okay, so I'll come back to that. Let me just, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this image so we have it in this state. So after I answer the first question, I'll come back to something that, I'll come back to it in this state and then we can like walk through how we can cover that part. Okay, so now what I did was to bring the images down. You just click on them and it's really not difficult. All I just did was just slide it down, so click on it. There's also you can also click on the image and then use this part that says nudge, and you see these arrows that are there. So down is for bringing it down. So just press it a couple of. You can hold it down, and you see that it is coming down to the bottom. You can also do it for the middle lady. You can either decide to use the arrow or just drag it down with your own hand. Right. So is that part clear? Okay. All right. So now how did I get the white effect on the lady? So to get that white effect, I just tap on any of the ladies and then I go to effects. This is something we covered yesterday with shadows. So you click on shadows and then you click on any one of the one I used to get that effect was outline. Now if I click on outline, you will see that there's a small kind of line around the lady that is black. Now to change it from black to any color, you just have to tap it. You can increase the size of it. Now this is it. It is thicker, but I don't like it like that. It's too thick. So this is better. And then you just click on this black dot here. So it could be any color. You want it to be red. So I picked white. So now when you pick white, you get that effect that I had done. Is this part clear? I'm looking at chat just to get feedback that you understood that. Okay, so let's just do it for the remaining ladies. Let's quickly do it so we can have something that looks good. Um, so take it down, change it to white. Let's do it for this lady too. So the same thing, effects, shadows, outline, and then click on it again. You can reduce the size and then just change it to white. And then for this last one, effects, shadows, outline, reduce it. Please, if you have any question at any time, just let me know. So I think are we all clear on how we got here? Okay, so that's good to hear. So now some of the things you can now do, you can add your text. So maybe the name of your business is maybe something like kinky hair or something. So like kinky hair, right? So this I would use like so maybe like a hot pink. So I don't think this works. Yellow. Okay, let's just leave it at white. So kinky hair. So now for this is an example of where you have to go beyond the border. But now you just make a note that this is where all your texts are going to be. Let me just shift it a little bit more. So kinky hair, you can have like, so now you can just um, do this. You can use the best hair plug or something. So now you can use what we learned today about font weights to reduce this. So now you go to fonts. This is the font we are using, Canvas, and you are just let me clear all of these searches that I did. So you go to Canvas Sounds, you click here. So you see what are the ways you can reduce it. So you make it like regular, for example. So now it is smaller, but then we are still using the same font. And then you can just slide to make this bigger or smaller. Let me use formatting to make it sit here. Okay, so we see now that as I'm moving now, it has snapped into like that is the edge of the page. So you see that line that is there, it's showing me that this is where the page should be. So somebody is saying the image at the edge, there is no border. The image at the edge. So again, it's really borders. The use of borders like depends on the image what you are designing. So that's why I said as much as possible, try to keep it within the border. But sometimes you cannot depending on what you are designing, you may have to go beyond the border. I hope that's what you mean by the image at the edge. There is no border. So now let me apply like an effect on this image because this part that's small is like really small. So I can just add like a lift, and now you see that it is more visible than without the. Let me actually do that on both these things. So we see that we have something looking really professional, like the kind of the image that we have. So this is just I'm just trying to show. Please don't forget to cover the bottom of the video. Yeah, yeah, yeah. In case it has to be printed out, cutting of the design. So I am not so this design particularly. If I was going for something that had that I knew that printer is going to be cutting off, what I would do is I would just go to my margin, for example. I would show margin. Now in this image, what I would do is I would make sure that everything that I am doing, I just have to make everything smaller. So this one will be smaller. This one is going to not extend beyond this. So I know that all of these parts that are outside of this line are going to be cut off. So I'm going to reduce this lady's size, for example, reduce this one size, make sure that it is sitting on that line, for example. This one too will not extend beyond the line. But please don't bother about this printing. Else you want to do something that can be printed. But usually, I imagine most of you are doing designs that you'll be putting on like Instagram or something. So unless you absolutely like you are doing printing, something that's going to be printed. So now you just drag it into this margin for printing. So now this is something that if you send to a printer, now this part that is outside of the line is going to be cut off. Let me just make sure. But then you already have like the half part of the lady that you want to show is going to be inside of the design, right? So let me quickly show how you can cover that bottom part with the. I hope we are clear on what the difference between what we had with the margins and what we had without the margin, right? I hope I didn't confuse anybody with this margin thing. Okay, all right, thank you. So let me just go back to it because I don't imagine a lot of you are going to be doing things you'll be printing. But if you wanted to do something you'll be printing, at least I hope you understand how to do it now, right? Okay, so now this is where we were. Now back to this part where I wanted to cover with the design. So something I can do here is actually. So let me just find something that works, then I'll explain how to use it. Okay, so just hold on. I'm going to explain everything that I am doing here. No, this is not the best thing to use here. Um, okay, actually, this might work. Actually, the best thing to do here would just be to cover. Now, I'm looking for something that would just be very light, that would blend in, but I'm not finding something a good use case for it. And maybe I can. I'm going to. I might design it and then just. I would let you know what I searched for. If they are printing on the same page, size of the paper. So someone is saying the last one I put was okay, like this. I don't really like this. I think it could look a lot better. But then still, this is not still so bad. But I wouldn't leave. What I don't want people to see that this image is hanging. So normally, a way to get around this without thinking too much is just you can just quickly put a box here, for example. Um, you can put a box here. So maybe here you can just put your phone number or something like that. Just stretch it out, reduce it. So for example, your phone number can go here. Let me make sure it gets to the edge of the listing. So you can put something like your phone number here, for example, and then that way it's really the hanging, the way the ladies are hanging is no more showing. So this is one easy way to just solve this problem, where you can just put something like this and then nobody knows that the pictures there were hanging before. You can just add your phone number or something here, add all of the kinky hair things here. So let me group. I hope you know how to group things. So to group text or any kind of element together, you just select one, you click on these three dots, click on select multiple. So click this, and then you can select any other thing you want. You can after you select the two things you want to group, you click on group, and now that way, if you're moving it around, two of them are moving together. So I'm just going to copy it, and I want to paste it on this page, so it looks like the same thing. Okay, so now this is as close as possible as we can come in the time we have to Godwin time. Somebody saying Godwin time. All right, I think I have run out of time for today. So those faded, what do we faded and what do we do? So just search for the faded elements. You can just search for gradients. It should let me just do it to be sure. So element, you can just search for gradient, for example. Um, actually, square gradient. So sometimes Canva it's trial and error. So something like square gradients. So this is square gradients. Now it's showing you some of them are not free, but this is a free one. Hopefully that allows you change the color. So this you can change the color here. So this gradient has two colors, or you can even do this with your normal gradient, the way we do gradients. So another one is faded box. So it's great that we are seeing ideas from the chat. So there's faded box, there's gradient. You can even do something like this, for example, if you just want to still add like some elements to your design. So this is the usual gradients that we do on our page. You can reduce the transparency so that some of the text are still more visible. You can bring this text here. You can make sure that it is on top of the page. So it's just really some of the things that we've learned before. But let me hand over to Godwin. That is all we can take for today. We promise to not go over our allotted time because we understand that your time is important. So Godwin, I think that is it for the class today. Sorry, just find that if you have any questions that I can answer in like 1 minute or less, just ask it now before Godwin takes over. Defeated. What do I search? Okay. All right. I think there are no questions. So for assignment for today, there's a design I want us to replicate. Just using it's going to I'm going to stress you with this one. I just want you to use your creativity to kind of get how do I achieve this. Let me give you a hint. You're going to be using layering. You're going to be layering text on top of text, and then an image is going to be between it. But I'm not going to give you too much hint. I just want you to like play around and see how you can achieve something like that, right? So Godwin, I think that's it for the class today. Thank you. So I'll send the assignments to the class group. I'll explain what you have to do. Godwin, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm waiting for you to
Okay,
finish.
all right. Thank you. So I think that's it for today. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Godwin. So I hope everybody had an amazing. Godwin, can you please mute? I don't know the background sound. Thank you so much. So I believe everybody had an amazing session. Please, I dropped a an attendance survey in the chat box. Please do kindly take a little time to just fill it up so that we can get data at the back end and know how many people have been attending all the sessions, and possibly we'll have rewards for people that have been very consistent, because we understand that, you coming out here to give your time to, stay through the training is, should be rewarded. Also, we'll be having the training next weekend, same time. And yeah, please follow us on all social media, Adara Foundation at TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. And also, please make sure you do your assignments. As you all know, we have a culture of always rewarding those that, you know, hand out the assignments. And it's also a way of, motivating everyone to, get engaged, because you get better when you practice more often. Like you say, practice makes better. And also, please, if you're not in the WhatsApp platform, do reach out to us and also check your emails. Maybe the emails that must have been sent might have gone to your spam folder, because we send the WhatsApp link there. So that it's always important that you're in the WhatsApp platform so that you can get information maybe during the course of the week as you are, trying to do your assignment and you're expressing a challenge. The facilitator is in the group to always answer questions, and also some other team members that have learned the skills better than any other person can also help to assist you. Um, yeah, so we are looking forward to have you guys next weekend. Also, please, in case you missed the session, please do check our YouTube page and also kindly subscribe. We always drop recaps of all the sessions that have been, administered during the weekend. So thank you guys, and we're looking forward to see all of you again next weekend. Have a good evening, everyone.